Hey everyone, my name is Cedric and I'm the lead pastor of First Love Church in Gig Harbor, Washington. And I'm originally from South Africa. Just a couple of things about myself. And my wife and I moved over to the Seattle area in Washington State about almost 10 years ago. And we planted First Love Church in Gig Harbor about 6.5 years ago. And just so that you know a little bit about the church situation that Billy and Ray came into with the Toolbox, is that we started with a small core of about a dozen people who eagerly served and helped and supported us as we started out with the church plant here. We were and we still are a portable church, and so we set up and tear down every week. And we started with a great amount of passion and gusto and energy and all those things. And we had a great group of people that were helping us out. And as the Lord started blessing and we started seeing people getting saved and healed and delivered and added to the church, it was a wonderful season. And of course, as a pastor, my great passion is in ministering to people. Preaching and teaching the word, and so I gave myself fully to those things. And as the church slowly started growing, we realized more and more that there were many other things that needed to take place to take care of the growth, such as serving teams and specific task teams. And we started small groups, life groups as we call them here, and things were just growing pretty nicely, and we were very encouraged. And some time ago, maybe about 2 years ago, I started feeling like we were beginning to experience an invisible barrier that we were struggling to break through, and we started hitting this invisible wall. And we're struggling to put our finger on it. We thought about this and that, and we did different things, and just found the growth of the church kind of moving forward, moving back a little, moving forward, moving back. And pretty soon I realized that we were coming up against the infamous 200 barrier. And so I started reading about that and started realizing that we had some work to do. And according to my understanding, I realized that the 200 barrier very often has to do with needing to move out of the lead pastor being the only pastor in the church, and needing to multiply leaders and small groups and other shepherds that the people can look to, so that everything is not all coming straight back to the lead pastor only. And so we started doing that. We started being a lot more deliberate with our small group strategy, and started giving ourselves to that, and spent a lot of time investing into that and releasing leaders there. And but still realized that the church was really grappling with a second issue, and it was what I would just call an administrative bottleneck. And so as we had started in great passion, and we had started many different ministries, task groups, serving teams, and so on, we were very much just with our just right up working on all the things that absolutely had to get done. We were doing what was needed. Very often we realized what was needed because some area of the life of the church was falling to the ground, and there was some alarm, and we had to institute things to problem solve and to troubleshoot the situation. And so in short, what happened is we had a whole lot of different systems and different teams in place and different serving areas, and we never really stepped back to look at exactly what it was that we were doing and how we were doing it, and really giving our thought to how we could be doing it a whole lot better. And so our administrative bottleneck really at the end of the day was causing an overload on me, because even though we had other leaders taking care of some of the pastoral situations, through the life groups, and we had another assistant pastor couple who helped to take care of a lot of the time-consuming counsel and crisis counseling and marriage counseling. At the end of the day, administratively, all the details still flowed straight back to me as the only decision maker, and so everybody needed a piece of me. And I started struggling with a feeling of discouragement due to overload. And I struggled for quite some time to really put my finger on it and where this discouragement was coming from, realizing that discouragement is such a great killer of so many ministries, and beginning to wonder why I was struggling with it when things were going fairly well. And I now realize, retrospectively, that I was struggling with that discouragement because I instinctively knew that I would not be able to live out the vision for the growth of the church to become all that it is meant to be, both in essence as well as in numbers, in the way that I was working, because the level of overload that I was experiencing could not be multiplied without me experiencing some sort of a crash. And so I really did not know exactly what it was that I needed. I did not know exactly how to get out of it. It was really late one night talking with Billy, as well as with Ray, that I began to get greater clarity as to what we needed. And what I really needed was somebody who could come in and coach me and coach our staff, our core leaders, into a better function, a better way of functioning together, and help to lead us into more efficient systems. And so I invited Billy and Ray in, and from the first time that Billy came in, I would say the thing that marked our first time together, where Billy spent a day with me and some of that day with Angie, my wife, and then on the next day, we just spent most of the whole day with my staff, my core leaders. And I would say what marked that first visit was the sense of order and clarity beginning to come into what I would describe as just the chaos of a lot of different things that would end up conflicting with each other. Our different teams and systems were tripping over each other. Communication was a complaint all the way through the church, that all the people that needed to know certain things didn't know what they needed to know, what they felt they needed to know, because the communication systems were not in place for all of that to happen appropriately. And so Billy came in, and we immediately started feeling the order come into the core team, into our staff meetings together, and began to feel a feeling of hope that we did not need to continue to work the way that we had been, that others have traveled this path before us, and that they were able to help. And so we started experiencing, just especially within the core team, and we're still kind of working within that realm right now. We haven't unfolded the toolbox through to the whole church yet. We haven't presented all of this to all of our broader leaders yet. We've just started working with our staff in the last 3 months, really, 3 or 4 months that Billy and Ray have come in. But already we can feel that sense of order. We can feel the sense of clarity beginning to come. We can see the way through the struggle that we've been feeling. And I would say that we're already beginning to experience, even within our core team, the administrative bottleneck beginning to be unblocked. And so we're feeling very encouraged. After Billy came in, Ray came in for 2 sessions. We've only had the 3 sessions so far. And Ray just spent the bulk of the time that he was with us, first of all with me, and then also with our core team, and really just teaching us about how to better operate together and what the picture is going to look like when we get to the other side. And what I've realized is that whenever a group of people come together with any kind of a unity of purpose, there's a whole lot of dynamics that have to work together in order for that group of people to work together effectively and efficiently and get done what they have set out to do. And so Ray has spent some great time with our staff, teaching us, training us, going through situations with us. We've thrown things on the table, and Ray has been able to take those things and coach us through them and use those examples to explain things to us. And it has just been absolutely wonderful for me, firstly, to have the light switch on and realize that there are much better ways of doing things than what I knew even existed a few short months ago. And in my ministry training, I was trained theologically, and I was trained in ministry by being given opportunities, but nobody ever really sat down and explained church administration, systems, how things function and flow together, delegating the right things to the right people, helping people in the church find the right place in the systems that are functioning in the church. It's been our great desire to build a priesthood of all believers and have everybody involved and have a high involvement percentage. And I was just struggling more and more to see, as the church was growing, how we were going to make that a reality. And now it's just been wonderful to be able to actually see the road forward and to actually have strategy to move people in the church into areas in the life of the church where they can be useful and where they can help and serve. And so I would say that through the church Toolbox and my relationship with Billy and then with Ray, that we have found just an incredible church leadership coaching partnership. And I think that would be the best way that I can describe what it has been. And I've been in small churches and in large churches, but for some reason there was this whole piece of how to lead the church administratively that I had almost completely missed. And so it has been such a blessing to me to have guys that have really walked in that gift and in that experience, to be able to come alongside me without usurping any authority, without trying to take over or impose anything on me, but just walking at my pace as the lead pastor and serving me by equipping me on how to handle what I had in my hands, and then also beyond that to talk with my team and help all of us to come out of the areas of dysfunction and chaos that we had created for ourselves, and which I had really created through some ignorance on my part, and to help push us back to a place of order and bring us into a good alignment. And so it has been an absolute blessing. I will say I've known Billy for about 5 years, and I've hung on to Billy because I've always known that he has something that I need, especially in the area of leadership. But I have to say that I didn't even know what questions I really needed to be asking the first few times that we were together. And in the last 3 or 4 months, the whole new world has opened up to me, a whole new way of thinking about the church from an administrative point of view. And we all know that the wine can't get to where it needs to be unless the wineskin can hold it and transport it. And so this really is just helping us to take the ministry that God has given us and release it as efficiently and as functionally and as effectively as possible to as many people as possible. And I would say that we are probably as a church about maybe 20% into the process. And already I would say we feel the administrative bottleneck unblocked. We already feel such a sense of order, such a sense of progression. After the first day that Billy spent with us, he made a comment that had me scratching my head, and he said, "Cedric, after spending the day with your staff, I can see that there's a whole lot going on, but right now there's not a whole lot of forward movement." Now, I didn't really understand that, but as the toolbox has been unfolded to us, and we've realized how we've been operating and how we could be operating so much better by having better systems and well thought through structures and schedules in the church. I'm now realizing how much we were doing, but how little we were moving forward at that time. And so all of that is changing, and we're very appreciative of Billy and Ray's impartation. Ray has been such an incredible blessing. Ray carries such a wisdom that he does not impose. He just offers it in service. He knows how to ask the right questions that bring what is going on out into the surface in a way that is so disarming. And I just have thoroughly enjoyed Ray. He has imparted into my life as a leader some very needed skills on handling tricky situations that we had a few of those just as everything started up. And he's just been such a great blessing. Relationally, he fits in so easily with our staff, and everybody, it just seems to trust him and allows him to speak and just help us by imparting the wisdom that is in him in all of the years of serving in an administrative capacity in a large church setting. And so I just want to heartily recommend the Church Toolbox. It has been life-changing to me, and it is changing our core team, and we are so excited to walk the rest of this road and see how First Love Church gets unblocked, and how that which God has put inside of us by way of ministry, anointing, and calling, and vision being outworked to so much greater effectiveness than ever before. Bless you guys. Hope you're having a great time over there, and I look forward to meeting many of you one day. God bless. Bye.